The found footage genre has covered ghosts, giant monsters, witches, Bigfoot, alien space rocks, and even trolls, but not really dinosaurs. So it was bound to happen sooner or later, and in 2012, the Dinosaur Project tackled the task. Does it deserve to be among some of the great movies with shaky cameras? Or does it fall hard like so many others in this category? Let's find out. The Dinosaur Project opens up telling us that this movie has been compiled from over 100 hours of video and nothing has been altered. Yeah, I doubt that. Next, we learn of an expedition heading out to find the cryptid Mokele Bembe. In short, it's the African Loch Ness Monster. Leader of the team is Jonathan Merchant, who is simply the best and most famous explorer in the world, with a ton of experience under his belt. Alongside him is their guide, Amara. There's Peter, Dave, Liz, and Charlie. Don't worry about getting too close to them just yet, because they're all just there to get killed by dinosaurs. The only one with a little bit of backstory is Charlie. He's gone on every one of Jonathan's adventures, and even though he doesn't admit to it, you can sense a bit of jealousy that he isn't getting the limelight. Also joining the party is Luke, Jonathan's son. He's supposed to be picked up and watched by his aunt while his father is out hunting cryptids, but you just can't miss out on the action, so he hides out as a stowaway, which doesn't last long. He's caught, and Jonathan demands that they turn around, but they're past the point of no return, and they would run out of fuel. So, no other option but to let him join in. Most of this movie is really just Jonathan yelling at his son, and Charlie is the only one who cuts Luke any slack. As they get to their destination, they spot something out the window. And, well, that sure looks like a pterodactyl to me. They fly right into the helicopter and attack it. It starts to crash, and I figured the camera would just cut out here to save on having to do the effect of them falling through the trees and whatnot, but you actually get to see it, and it all looks pretty convincing. I gotta give them some credit for not cutting corners. Anyway, they crash and everyone somewhat important survives. They get all their equipment out, and just in time as the helicopter explodes into a fireball. Worse yet, the satellite phone was damaged in the crash. However, with enough time, Luke thinks he can fix it. So their main objective right now is to find some shelter and to get their bearings. And, as luck would have it, they find a small village. But it looks to be abandoned. After digging around a little bit, they can see that whoever lived there was attacked. But by what? For now, they just assume it was rival villagers. But I'm thinking it was dinosaurs. And guess what? I was right. That night, the pterodactyls swing by for some fresh meat. Everyone goes running, but Liz is attacked, and they have to leave her behind. Well, she's toast. The rest of them make it to the river and find some boats to make their escape. And for some reason, the animals don't chase after them. I don't know why. The water shouldn't really stop them, because they can fly, but a lucky break for the team, I guess. So now, there isn't really anything they can do except continue down the river and camp on the beach for the night. As they are talking around the fire, they hear the trees start to move, and they know something is watching them. Then, out of nowhere, a little dinosaur pops out. They recognize it as a Dilophosaurus, aka the spitting dinosaur from Jurassic Park. Luke manages to give it some candy, and it seems to like him. But then it throws up all over Luke. It's not toxic or anything, just normal throw up. and, as we'll see later, a sort of greeting for these creatures. The next morning, their little pets come back, and Luke's even named one of them, Crypto. They want to know where Crypto and his friends went last night, and hope that it might lead them to the gateway. So they strap on a GoPro with a live feed monitor and track the dino's movements. And this is the most unrealistic thing about this movie. Luke says the camera has a range of about 2 miles from the monitor. That's bullcrap. I have a baby monitor that stops working at about 20 feet. Anyway, they do see a little cave that could be explored, but that really doesn't help them get out of there. So they turn their focus on heading back down the river. This is a turning point for Charlie. He understands the significance of this and is tired of being pushed aside, while Jonathan gets all the credit. He wants this discovery for himself. A little further down the river, they hit some white water, and the two boats separate. Charlie and Luke conveniently go right to the gateway, while the rest of them get split up. They go flying down, and besides going really fast and every turn could lead to your death, I think it'd be pretty fun. Eventually, they get spit out and are safe. They paddle down the river a little bit, and they hear Luke's dad calling out for them. So he went back for him. I mean, really, what father wouldn't? But Luke wasn't quite sure if he would. Either way, they're all back together again, and in a new, uncharted part of the world. But it's not all rainbows and unicorns over here. There's something in the water. The team paddles frantically to get away from it, but they can't escape, and it pops up, and it's the Mokelembembe, the thing that they set out to find in the first place. Luckily, it's not aggressive, and it doesn't hurt them. But the same can't be said for its cousin. Another one jumps out of the water and eats Dave. Again, they all split up. Charlie and Luke run off, and the rest are presumed dead. Now their only hope is that satellite phone, and, as luck would have it, Luke just fixed it. Excited, he runs to tell Charlie the good news, but he has something he wants to show Luke. When he gets there, he gets an evil look in his eye, and he pushes his best friend down into the earth. Luke survives the fall and gets himself out of the water to update the camera on everything that just happened to him, as if we couldn't have figured it out ourselves. Now, back to the others. You didn't think they really died in the attack, did you? Amara has had enough. This was supposed to be a simple trip into the jungle. Get some footage and go home. A few days max. She didn't sign up for all this. And, well, none of them really did. I mean, it's not Jonathan's fault that the helicopter crashed and they're in all this mess. But either way, he won't leave his son alone out there. Pete joins him in his search, and Amara goes her own separate ways. Back to Luke, who is now wandering around the forest. His old pal Crypto shows up, but he's acting a little strange. And soon we find out why. The pterodactyls show up again. Luke runs, but there's just too many of them, and they have him surrounded. But then Pete comes by to save the day. He smacks the creatures with the boom mic, fighting them off so Luke, reunited with his father, can run for it. Pete runs around like a crazy person until he realizes he's outnumbered, and he's not gonna make it. Father and son climb to the top of a mountain and get a fantastic view. But they can't bask in its beauty for long, because Charlie rolls a boulder down on top of them and Jonathan goes over the edge. He's holding on for dear life, and he knows that his son won't leave him there. With Charlie coming after them, Jonathan has no other choice but to sacrifice himself, so his son will run away from this madman. Now Luke finds the original camera he put on Crypto, and he knows that this must be its home. Then he comes face to face with Charlie, who's now full-blown cuckoo. He kicks Crypto. Big mistake. You never kick a dinosaur. It runs away, but it comes back to throw up on Luke. Gee, thanks. But then Luke realizes what that really means. It's protection from Mom and Dad. As far as we know, Luke is the only survivor. He says his last words to the camera, then wraps them all up and throws them in the river, where they're later found. I mean, this is found footage after all. And that was the Dinosaur Project. I don't think it was half bad. The dinosaurs are all CGI. I expected that. And honestly, they look pretty good. Sometimes it's a little less convincing, but honestly, I was expecting way worse. The acting was decent and everything was bright and colorful, which you don't usually get in found footage. It does kind of take you out of the effect when you have a beautiful 4K print, perfect lighting and sound with some dinky little cameras. But the alternative is everything is dark and hard to see. So I guess I prefer it like this instead. This movie's biggest problem is that people will inevitably compare it to Jurassic Park. And well, it's just not that. I don't think it was ever really trying to be. The Dinosaur Project is more like Land of the Lost, or maybe King Kong when they got to Skull Island. Just because a movie has dinosaurs in it, that doesn't mean it has to be a copy of Jurassic Park. Dinosaurs are cool no matter what. Sometimes as adults, we forget that. I'd say watch the Dinosaur Project if you don't mind shaky cameras. I give it 3 cryptos out of 4.